volume. So we're going to go through volume, and as we go through this, you can fill in your notes sheet and follow along and answer the questions. So volume is the measure of the amount of space inside a 3D shape. Volume is measured in units cubed or units of third power or power of 3. So when you're looking at like word problems or trying to figure out, how to decipher, are they talking about volume or not, some keywords you can look for that may be helpful would be capacity, fill up, holds, contains, cubic units, those kinds of words and things. To find a shape's volume, you multiply the area of the base. So if we have a rectangular prism, that base would be either square or rectangle. So that area times the height. And that would be written as V equals big B times H. The big B standing for the area of the base shape and the H standing for height. We are talking about big B here, not little b. When you see a lowercase b, you're talking about a length. So like the base or the length of a bottom of a triangle, something like that. It's not to do with area. For rectangular prisms, the base is a rectangle. So the formula of a rectangular prism is V equals length times width times height, or L times W times H. And that length times width is that base area of that base shape, big B, okay? So let's look at these three rectangular prisms. Let's look at the first one, and it's 10 by 4 by 5. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify the height, length, and width. And I would label those always. So that way it's just a good habit to be in, no confusion, especially if you need to go back and check your work or you have a mistake and you're trying to find that mistake. We're going to multiply those three values. So 10 times 4 times 5. And you should get a volume of 200 meters cubed. Let's look at the second and third shapes. Again, making sure that you're labeling those with the length, width, and height. So I've gone ahead and done that. And the second one, what numbers are we going to multiply? We're going to multiply the length, width, and height. So 7 times 4.5 times 2.5. And you should have gotten a volume of 78.75 feet cubed, or cubic feet. So 78 3/4 cubic feet, you could make it into fractional instead of decimal. That would be fine too. Let's look at our third rectangular prism. This one happens to be a cube. All sides are the same. So 3.5 times 3.5 times 3.5, or 3.5 cubed. And our volume would be 42 7/8 inches cubed. A unit cubed is a cube that measures 1 on the length, width, and height. A non-unit cubed has a measure other than 1 as its length, width, and height. So we'll look at this next slide and you'll kind of get an idea what I mean. So volume of a rectangular prism made of non-unit cubes, meaning those cubes don't have a side length of 1, they have a different value. So for method 1, we want to find the measurement of our side lengths. For the second method, and we would determine that by the side length, we would multiply that length and width and height to get our volume. Traditional method. Method 2, we would find the number of cubes. And for method 2, we would find the number of cubes, we would find the volume for one of those cubes, and we would multiply the number of cubes we had by the volume of one cube to get our total volume. So let's work through method 1. So each of the cubes is a 1/2 inch side length there. So the 1/2 inch times a 1/2 inch times a 1/2 inch. Okay? So again, we're going to go back. Remember I was saying that the side length for method 1, each of them is a 1/2 an inch. So if you were to go and label them, they would be a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch on every side length. And you can see them labeled there. And you can see that meaning that on the width there, I have a half plus a half, which makes 1. On my length, I have a half plus a half plus a half plus a half, which would be 2. And on my height, I have a half plus a half plus a half, which is 1.5. So now I have all 3 of my side lengths, and I multiply those 3 to get the volume. Remember that the area of the base shape is that 1 times 2, and then the height is 1.5. And my total volume would be 3 cubic inches. All right, let's look at method 2. Now this one, I'm going to find the number of cubes. And so I literally look at my picture. I have 3 for the height, 2 for the width, and 4 for the length. And I'm going to multiply those to find out how many cubes I should have. So 2 times 4 times 3 would be 24 cubes. And then I need to find the volume of 1 cube. Remember I said a side length was a half. So a half times a half times a half. So the volume of just 1 cube is 1/8 cubic inch. To get my total volume, I'm going to multiply the number of cubes by the volume of 1 cube. So that 24 times 1/8. So what is my total volume here? 3 cubic inches. Same. So you can see with method 1 and 2, I'm still going to get the same answer. I just have 2 different ways about going about it. And you have to know both ways.